What's going on, everybody? Welcome to WWE Aftershock Week 48. I'm going to cover all of the WWE shows except for Raw because we already covered that with the Survivor Series review. You can check that out on the channel. But let's just get right into it. We're going to cover all the other shows for the week, so let's just start talking about them. So we're going to start with the NXT shows. I'm going to do Level Up first just to follow house show rules. Going through NXT now, the big storyline of NXT was building up the main event with all of the former North American champions. They did really good video packages, hyping them up with Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, and Cameron Grimes, showing everything that they did in NXT, which was cool. And then Wesley did an interview talking about, how he has to win tonight, saying that, he can't go without competing for the North American title. And then Mackenzie Mitchell asked him, what happens if he doesn't win, and he just didn't really have much of an answer. And we had the match. The match was awesome. I really recommend you watch it for yourself. Everybody really worked hard out there. Dominic Mysterio was on commentary for the match. And the big story was everyone would work together to try to take out Bronson Reed. And then when he was isolated, they would go after each other. Seeing Wesley and Johnny Gargano go at it was really cool. And eventually, when Bronson Reed's going for the win, Ivar, who's been feuded with Bronson Reed recently, comes out and they blow to the back. And this allows Wesley, he beats Cameron Grimes with the cardiac kick. And that was pretty much the finish. So now Wesley has a North American title match coming up against Dominic Mysterio at Deadline this weekend. So, because I'm recording this on Monday before Raw and everything like that. So, that's exciting. Yeah, I'm excited for this match. I'm starting to feel like the time of main roster people holding the NXT belts is over. I think Dom's going to be the last guy that loses. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed everything they kind of did to build up to this match. So that was cool. Other things is they did some more Iron Survivor qualifying matches. Jerry the King Lawler got to pick the people, and he picked Kiana James versus what's her name? Kalani Jordan, and Braun Breaker versus Eddie Thorpe. And those two matches were pretty solid. Kiana James faced Kalani Jordan, and that match was pretty good. It took a while to get going because I think Kalani Jordan was moving a little too fast for Kiana James, and I don't think she was really used to having to be the ring veteran, but eventually I thought the match progressed and became a good match out of it. Eventually Roxanne Perez ran interference, and it allowed Kalani Jordan to beat Kiana James, and this led to a big brawl throughout the night between Kiana James and Roxanne Perez, where they brawled to the backstage, and then at the end of the show they brawled in the parking lot. I didn't really like the one at the end of the show just because I thought it kind of took away from Wesley's moment, but it was what it was. But yeah, overall, that was kind of what happened with the woman one. And then with the men's one, Braun Breaker beat Eddie Thorpe. Eddie Thorpe did the best he could, but he was obviously working injured because he got his ribs broken by Gulak's crew, and Braun Breaker was just too powerful for him. So eventually, he just beat him with the spear, and now he qualifies for the Iron Survivor Challenge. And now this week, basically, they're doing a last chance match for both the men and the women, where everybody that's competed so far and hasn't qualified is going to be in them. So that'll be good. I'll kind of talk about that. But yeah, I enjoyed everything they did with the Iron Survivor qualifying matches. Again, I think most of the people that got picked were definitely not picked by the Hall of Famers. I think it was definitely scripted because I don't think JBL would have picked who he picked, and I don't think Lita would have picked who she picked. So it is what it is. But I thought it was better how they set up the Iron Survivor qualifying matches instead of doing the where the legend just picks the people. So I thought that was better. Other things that happened in NXT was they furthered the NXT title picture. Ilya Dragunov got into it with Nathan Frazier backstage because he basically said that Nathan Frazier would prefer to have Baron Corbin's lifestyle over his, so it led to Ilya Dragunov wanting a match with him. And it wasn't a long match, but from what the time that they had with each other, I thought the match ended up being really solid. Eventually, Dragunov just destroyed Frazier. He beat him with not the torpedo Moscow, but the torpedo fist, where he just drops his fist right onto him. He did that like 3 times, and then afterwards, Corbin came on the video screen and pretty much just kind of talked trash to him and everything like that. And they're gonna have a face-off on this episode of NXT. So overall, I really liked how they furthered it. I kind of wouldn't really be against Baron Corbin winning the NXT title because I think it's time for Dragunov to be called up. I definitely think he's gonna be one of the next guys that gets called up, especially with the Bash in the Berlin pay-per-view happening soon. So I think that's gonna happen. Other things that happened on NXT. They did a segment backstage. They furthered kind of what's been going on with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. They did a segment backstage with Josh Briggs, Brooks Jensen, and Fallon Henley. Well, they're all happy for Josh Briggs for getting it. And Lexis King came in, and he basically tried to drive a wedge between Briggs and Jensen because Briggs qualified and got an opportunity to, but Jensen didn't. So it led to a match between them. And then there was a segment backstage between Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams where they, because they showed footage from NXT Anonymous of Lexis King following Trick Williams, where it looked like, he's the one that attacked Trick Williams. So Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes talk about how they wanted to go out for blood, but Trick Williams doesn't want to do that because he wants to just focus on the Iron Survivor Challenge and winning that. And they talk about how that's not what they do, but Carmelo Hayes still says that he has a bone to pick with them for costing him a chance to qualify in the Iron Survivor Challenge. So during Lexis King's match with Brooks Jensen, Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes were watching the match backstage, and Carmelo Hayes left and didn't really mention to Trick Williams where he was going, and he storms out and he gears up to attack. He gears up to attack Lexis King, and the referees and stuff are holding him back, and obviously Josh Briggs is holding him back because if Carmelo Hayes attacks him, he'll get Brooks Jensen disqualified. But this allows Lexis King to still win anyways. Because of all this distraction and everything like that. And, that was pretty much it. I liked this, though. It really did a good job of furthering what's going on between Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. I wish they would have had something with them at the end of the show instead of Roxanne Perez and Kiana James, because I think that would have been more effective. But I expect this week Trick Williams is going to confront him for doing this, because, that wasn't really supposed to be how they rolled. So, that was interesting. They did other segments backstage. Alpha Academy did a segment backstage where they challenged Metaphor to a a 6-person mixed tag match next week. It will be Chad Gable, Otis, and Maxine Dupree versus 3 members of Metaphor. Eventually, later in the night, they accepted, and it's going to be the representatives being Noam Dar, Oral Mensa, and Last Legend. So that should be good. I kind of hope Alpha Academy. I actually think I have American Alpha written in my notes, but I actually think Alpha Academy, I hope they can finally get a win, because I don't really think Metaphor really need to win that. So they show Nikita Lyons training. She's going to be coming back soon. I'm not looking forward to that, but let's hope she's improved with this time away. The family retained their NXT tag titles against Gaza and Carrillo. It was a really good match. I liked it a lot. I don't know where they go from here now that they retained the titles, though, because, this is kind of the big team I would have expected them to face at Deadline, but I guess they're just not going to have to defend the NXT tag titles, so it is what it is. Laura Valkyria got interviewed, and she talks about she looks forward to Deadline. She's going to be watching the Iron Survivor Challenge, and Fallon Henley comes up and says that she's the one that should be watching out, and then you see Tatum Paxley just kind of watching in the corner, basically saying that she'll be the one that, she has to watch out for. So I don't know if they're just going to do like a little mini program between Lyra and Tatum Paxley. I'm not interested in that, but whatever. They did a segment with Carmen Petrovic and Ariana Grace. Carmen Petrovic had a nice little video package, and it led to a match between them. And before the match, Joe Gacy was underneath the ring, and he basically wanted attention and was kind of sick and tired of no one really noticing him. So during the match, he ran out and stole the ring bell, and it allowed Ariana Grace to win. And since there was no ring bell, he just kind of started randomly winning the ring bell and everything like that. So I'm liking this new crazy character they got going on with Joe Gacy. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing where it goes. As for what's been going on with Ariana Grace and Carmen Petrovic, I would have had Carmen Petrovic win. I don't really think Ariana Grace really needed to win that, but whatever. And yeah, they just kind of showed a video package for the Iron Survivor Challenge. We find out what's going on with Chase U. I think that's the only thing I didn't really write down. I think I meant to write it down, but forgot to. Pretty much we find out that the big scandal they have going on is that he was doing a lot of gambling and everything like that and using the Chase U funds to do that. So that's kind of what it was. They had this all set up like it was a news thing because they had subtitles about everything that he was saying and everything like that. So they kind of treated this like if it was a real thing. I don't really care for this, as everybody knows. I'm not into what they're doing with Chase U, and there's that. That's pretty much NXT. Weirdly enough, I didn't like NXT all that much when it started, but then as it went along, I thought the matches were really good and eventually progressed, so I'm going to give it like a B, maybe a B-. I thought it was a pretty good show. The main event really brought it up to another level. I think had that not happened, it probably would have. Maybe I'll go B because of the main event. I also like Dragunov and Corbett on this show. I liked what they did with Carmelo Hayes. So I think I'll go B. It ended up being a solid show. So that's all the NXT shows that took place. I'll just mention it because I'll forget. The big news that's come out of NXT is Mackenzie Mitchell now has been released. She was released on Saturday, I think. Maybe Friday, actually. It was all over the weekend. And yeah, I was really shocked, just because she's been like a mainstay for the NXT interview crew and broadcast team and everything like that. So I didn't expect that she would get released. Yeah, it was definitely a surprise. I don't know, maybe I don't think she requested her release, but maybe it's one of those things where it was mutual just because of the fact that she has her own business going on right now. It's Mackenzie Mitchell's Jewelries or something like that. I forget exactly the name of it, but it basically makes jewelry and everything like that. So maybe she just wanted to focus on that, but it was really a surprise. I didn't expect that they would release her, but yeah. It really sucks. I think it's very fitting that her last interview was with Wes Lee, since that's the person that she's had the most connection with on NXT and everything like that. But yeah, I think a lot of people question what's going to happen with Vic Joseph now because he does the commentary play-by-play and he's married to her in real life. And, they're making the comparisons how when Jerry the King Lawler's wife was fired back in '01, he quit. So is that the same thing going to happen to him? I don't think he's just going to up and quit just because it doesn't really seem like something that Vic Joseph would do. But I think, maybe if his contract comes up, he'll just not resign type of thing and they'll just replace him. Which I don't really know if I would like them to stick around just because the person that would replace him was Blake Howard. And I don't really think, maybe if, depending on what his contract is up, maybe if enough time goes by, he'll get better. But Blake Howard's not a good replacement right now. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it sucks that she was released. She was probably my favorite interviewer that they had in the company. It was probably her and maybe Kathy Kelly. Maybe she was a little bit. Maybe Kathy Kelly was a little bit better than her, but I think she will be missed. And yeah, she was a part of the brand for a while too. She was I think she started in 2018, maybe late 2018, because I definitely remember her being there all of 2019, and then she was a mainstay during the pandemic. And yeah, it's just really a shock that she was released. I don't know if she'll go other places, go back to TNA because that's where she was in the beginning, or go to AEW. I just don't really see what she would fit in AEW just because they have a lot of interviewers anyways. I just don't think she would really shine. I think she'd do good in TNA again just because she has that familiarity, but she may not want to do that either. She may want to just focus on what she's got going on right now, so we'll see. But yeah, I was really shocked, and yeah. Let's go through the other shows now. Let's go through main events.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass.
Then we have SmackDown. The big storyline of SmackDown was what was going to happen with Randy Orton, because this was his first SmackDown that he's been on since he was beaten down by the Bloodline. And, Nick Aldis was backstage, and Paul Heyman came up to him and basically was upset with Nick Aldis that he invited Randy Orton to SmackDown. And Nick Aldis says that he did, and he's also going to sign him to a SmackDown exclusive contract. And he mentions to, Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman's upset about this because everything that Nick Aldis says he has to bring through the Tribal Chief. And Nick Aldis talks about how, he finds it funny because, as it turns of his email, Paul Heyman, he has to put it through Paul Heyman because he's the one that gives the information to the Tribal Chief. So that it led to a segment later on where Adam Pearce came up, and he's upset that Nick Aldis is just going to pretty much backstab him and sign Randy Orton to SmackDown. And Adam Pearce reveals that he's going to sign Randy Orton to Raw. So pretty much it was a brand battle about which brand was Randy Orton going to sign on. Very Evolution-based, where they tried to do that for Triple H when he got drafted to both shows and he had to make a choice about which show he was going to go on. They did the same thing to Batista when he won the Rumble. It was more the same thing as the Batista one. And when the time came, Randy Orton, pretty much Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce were trying to outbid each other by promising Randy Orton all these things. And Paul Heyman pretty much tells Randy Orton that, they're going to make his choice. The Bloodline's going to make Randy Orton's choice for him. And the Bloodline come out. They attack Randy Orton. LA Knight comes out to even the odds. He bloods with Solo Sikoa to the back, and Randy Orton lays out Jey Uso with an RKO. He signs over to SmackDown, and basically afterwards he RKOs Nick Aldis. And it's looking like the big feud's going to be for the Rumble, for Roman Reigns, is now going to be Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton, which I think is the natural feud to go to. I'm really happy WWE's going with this feud. Just because, it makes all the sense in the world. Unfortunately, I don't think Randy Orton will win the belt when the time comes, but, I think we're going to have a really good feud coming out of it. I did see some people predicting the WrestleMania cards, and one of the predictions is Solo Sikoa versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. That does make a lot of sense. You know, you can do, if they can't get Cena again, obviously, just because of the strikes over and everything like that, they can have Cena, or they can have Orton face Solo instead. I think that makes all the sense in the world. So yeah, I liked everything they did with Randy Orton on the show. Where they basically, fought to get him signed to each brand. Since one's on SmackDown, I expect Punk's going to stay on Raw. I hope they don't do the same thing for Punk. I think he should be a free agent in the moment, and then eventually he just signs over to Raw. But I'm enjoying this brand warfare they kind of have going on between Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce. I kind of hope a big thing that happens at Mania this year is they do some type of team match where it's Nick Aldis versus Adam Pearce. And it's not necessarily the winner gets the run both shows, but maybe the winner can pick someone they want to sign off their brand or something. That'd be cool. Because I think that's the natural direction for them to go. So yeah, good stuff here. I mean, the thing I don't like about it is they don't really stick to the brand split anyways. So it's like, it would be better if they did, because I think we've recently seen Cody be on SmackDown, and then we've recently seen The Miz on both shows. So, obviously I would like them to stop doing that stuff. Other things that happened on SmackDown that was pretty big is this was the return of Logan Paul. This was his first SmackDown since he won the United States Championship. He comes out, he's bragging about how tough it is to be a champion and everything like that. And he reveals that there's going to be an 8-man tournament where the winner's going to face him for the United States title. The people in the tournament are Bobby Lashley, Karrion Kross, Santos Escobar, Dragon Lee, Kevin Owens, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, and an NXT superstar. I'm not sure who that's going to be. There's obviously people I would like it to be, but I don't think. But I feel like it's not going to be anybody that's in a high spot like I want it to be. As much as I would love it to be like Carmelo Hayes or Braun Breaker, I think they're going to stay in NXT, so I don't think they're going to have him be in this tournament. I would like it to see it be Tyler Bate. I think that'd be cool. That could be a way for him to finally get his call up. And I think, but yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who that is. But him and Kevin Owens go at it. It's really good promo, second back and forth. I kind of wish they didn't do this segment though, because now it makes it predictable that Kevin Owens is going to win the tournament. But we'll see. It was really good back and forth. I thought, I think if they do get into a feud with each other, the promos are going to be legendary. And eventually it leads to Kevin Owens facing Grayson Waller. And during the match, Austin Theory stomps his hands into the steps. And Kevin Owens is basically working with a fractured hand. And he's barely able to beat Grayson Waller. He beats him by a roll-up. And, yeah. It was a really good match there. So I really enjoyed that. And Logan Paul was on commentary. He was really good on commentary. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this tournament. Other things that happened on SmackDown is the big thing was what's going on with Damage Control. Basically, Bianca Belair came out and says that, she went to war with her team and she appreciates her team, but she's not done with Damage Control because she wants her women's title back. Damage Control minus Bayley come out and basically talk about how Bianca has to get through each and every single member of Damage Control to get to Io Sky. So a match gets made official between her and Kairi Sane, and during this a brawl ensues. Bianca gets saved by Charlotte Flair and Shotzi, and then backstage Damage Control are upset with Bayley that they weren't out there with her. So they want Bayley to be out there with Kairi Sane, and when it came time for the match, Bayley's really not into it and everything like that. So Io Sky tells Bayley to stay in the back, and during the match, each manager tripped their opponent, so they both so everybody got ejected, and it led to Bayley trying to come out and run interference, but it didn't work. Pretty much Kairi Sane took too long. and didn't really put Bianca Belair away, so Bianca Belair was able to recover and hit the KOD on Kairi Sane for the win, and she won. Next week it's going to be Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. I hope the same thing doesn't exactly happen. I would like to see next week her Bayley's interference actually work, and we could kind of get to the we won't really get like a feel of what Bayley's going to do when it comes time to, break them up and everything like that. So yeah, this was really good stuff. I liked it a lot. I didn't like the match very much between Bianca and Kairi Sane. And it's really weird. It's gonna look like Bayley was at fault for not helping Kairi Sane, but I don't really see it that way. It took up because Kairi Sane took a bit too long to capitalize on Bayley's interference. So, but that's not the storyline they're gonna go with. So it is what it is. They did a match between Pete Dunne and Bobby Lashley. It was really good. They really got Pete Dunne over really strong in defeat. He got a lot of offense in on Lashley, but eventually Lashley just won. And he had the Street Profits win side, but they didn't interfere in the match and help him win. Lashley was just stronger at the end of the day, and that's okay. And then backstage, Pete Dunne just talked about he just wants to focus on himself, and then he gets attacked by Pretty Deadly. And I'm really hoping like this breakup of the Brawl and Boots leads to Pete Dunne getting that name back, and he doesn't have the name that he has now anymore. So, while I don't love the fact that Brawl and Boots have to break up, if it leads to Pete Dunne getting his name back and going back to his old gimmick, I'm cool with it. So, that's good. And then the last thing that really took place on SmackDown was Santos Escobar faced Joaquin Wilde. He did an interview backstage where pretty much he's going to try to get him to get the message. And, he faced Joaquin Wilde. He beat him fairly easily. He didn't completely squash him, but it was more of a one-sided match than you would think. But it wasn't like a total squash. And then afterwards, he went to further attack him, but then Dragon Lee went out to make the save, and they're going to continue that program, which I think is pretty necessary. And yeah, that was pretty much SmackDown for this week. Overall, I really liked SmackDown. I'm going to give SmackDown a B+. I thought it was a great show. I liked how they furthered all the storylines, and I liked all the segments for the most part that took place. It wasn't quite an A show. I would have liked the main event to have delivered, the main event match anyways, to deliver stronger. So, that was pretty much everything that took place on SmackDown. And then, we have some good stuff coming up on the shows this week. I already mentioned the stuff on Raw. You can just watch last week's Aftershock pretty much. But on NXT, we have the last chance matches to see who's going to qualify for the Iron Survivor Challenge. It's basically everyone who got a qualifying match but didn't win. They have another chance. As for who I think will win the women's one, I think it's going to be Fallon Henley. As much as I would love it to be Roxanne Perez, I think because of the feud that Kiana James and Roxanne Perez have going on right now, I think they're going to kind of be too focused on facing each other to kind of win the match. But I think it's going to end up being Fallon Henley at the end of the day. And then as for the men's one, I like to see it be Tyler Bates. I'm trying to think of who's even in it, because I don't think it's going to be Carmelo Hayes. I think Lexis Kin's going to screw him over. But it's Tyler Bates. I'm trying to remember who else didn't qualify. Yeah, Tyler Bates, because Dijak beat him. Josh Briggs beat Carmelo Hayes. Trick Williams beat Joe Coffey. It could be Joe Coffey, but we'll see. I'm trying to remember who else, because Josh Briggs, there's a fourth person that's in it. Because it's Josh Briggs, Tyler Bates. Well, it's Josh Briggs, Dijak. Oh, Eddie Thorpe. That's the guy I'm missing. I don't think it'll be Eddie Thorpe though. I think it's gonna be Tyler Bate or Joe Coffey, and I'm gonna pick Tyler Bate. We're gonna have that face off between Dragunov and Corbin, and I think it's gonna lead to a segment where Corbin lays him out again. I would like Dragunov to get the better of him, because I think if if there's any chance Corbin has of winning the title, if he keeps getting the better of him, it most likely isn't going to happen. So we'll see. But that was pretty much that's everything that's coming up on NXT. There's probably other things I'm forgetting, but those are like the main things. As for SmackDown, it's gonna be Tribute to the Troops edition and SmackDown, but I'm glad they're not. No, the Tribute to the Troops show isn't going to overtake it pretty much. I was kind of thinking like you wouldn't really get much of a SmackDown. We still may not, but we do have some pretty big stuff happening. CM Punk is going to be making his first SmackDown appearance since 2014, the last SmackDown before the Rumble that he left. I know that because I'm doing that for a retro. There's your plug right there. And then, then we have 2 matches in the U.S. title tournament. It's going to be Santos Escobar versus Dragon Lee and Karrion Kross versus Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's totally beating Karrion Kross. There's no way Karrion Kross stands a chance of winning. The only way I could see Lashley winning is if somebody interferes, but he's not feuding with anybody, so I don't think that's going to happen. And then as for Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar, I'm going to pick Dragon Lee. It's probably going to be Santos, but I'm actually going to pick Dragon Lee. I'd like to see him actually. I wouldn't mind if he won the tournament either, but I would actually like to see him beat Santos. And I think a good way to get around that is this is where you bring back Carlito and have, him distract Santos, and that leads to Dragon Lee getting the win. So I hope that happens because I feel like it's gonna kind of hurt Dragon Lee a little bit if he loses this match. So we'll see. And then I'm pretty sure there's a title match that I'm thinking of on SmackDown, but I can't think of one at the moment. But yeah. Oh, then we have Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. That's the match I'm forgetting. I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be Charlotte Flair, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Asuka wins because Bayley's interference will work at this time around. Or either that or they'll have somebody else in able to control, like Io Sky, interfere, and that ends up working out. So we'll see what happens. But that's pretty much the weekly WWE programming. No big news things. It's mainly CM Punk stuff. He's been kind of the talk of the WWE news. The thing that we do know is that he has a clause in his contract which pretty much prevents him. Pretty much he can't really get into any trouble. So I think everyone expected he was going to have that. And then he also has a clause in his contract where he can't talk about AEW just like Cody. So there's kind of that going on. But that's kind of all that's really news related. I can't really think of anything else that's really any news in WWE. I haven't been following the news as much lately just because I've been busy with the holidays and stuff. So there's that. But that's pretty much the end of WWE Aftershock. Thank you guys for watching this video, and since I'm recording this in the past, I will talk to you guys in the future.
Oh my god, is this Coke from Burger King? Oh, what is that? It's carbonated more.